Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the posts, giving you my own opinion, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for telling my roommate to get a new job if we bother her that much? I live in a dorm/apartment with 5 other girls, all of us ranging from 18 to 20. Not sure if it matters, but both myself and the roommate in question are 18 and freshmen. I became really close with 2 of our roommates at the beginning of the year. Usually at night, we'll hang out in the living room, make stuff, watch TikToks, etc. Sometimes we'll have other friends over, which is allowed as long as we aren't drinking or anything. One of our roommates has been working as a CNA at a local nursing home. She works 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Friday to Sunday. When she's not at work or class, she's in her room and barely comes out. There are many times she comes out at night on the nights before she has work to ask us to quiet down, that she has to be up early. This is usually around 9 to 11 p.m. that she does this, when our nights are just starting. Recently, our RA, resident assistant, messaged us and told us we were having a meeting. This usually happens if one roommate is having a concern. This roommate sat down and told us how we were making it hard for her to sleep at night or waking her up, how physically demanding her job is, etc. The resident assistant basically told us after 8 o'clock to keep the noise down or go to a common area if we wanted to be louder. Last night we came in at 11:30 and accidentally let the door go too fast and it slammed. Our roommate storms out of her room, sobbing that we startled her and woke her up, and she can't go back to sleep, and she has a hard section at work tomorrow. One of our other roommates asked her how hard working at a nursing home could possibly be, that she's just helping old people. She told us it must be nice having a job where we can sit the whole shift. 2 of us work in the campus gym, the other works in the library, and she claims she doesn't get a break her entire 12-hour shift. Our RA has texted us yet again for another meeting. She came home tonight and went straight to her room. I told her if working at a nursing home is that hard, she can just get an on-campus job, like we have, so she can stop complaining. I might be off on this, but it's my understanding that a lot of universities, when you're going into nursing or other fields, require you to work as a CNA in the field as part of experience for your degree. So even if OP's roommate wanted to, I don't think she could. Some comments from the original thread. User Glam Valentina comments, "You're the asshole. She works 12-hour shifts with no breaks caring for dying people. Your RA already told you to keep it down after 8 p.m., and you still slammed the door at 11:30. Then your roommate said, how hard can it be helping old people? And you told her to get a new job. CNAs are some of the most physically and emotionally demanding jobs that exist. The fact that you think working in a gym or library is comparable shows exactly how little self-awareness there is in that apartment." User Brilliant Material 33 with a total of 581 downvotes. Quiet after 8 p.m. on a weekend is an unreasonable request in my opinion. Communal living comes with the challenge of community. If the roommate has such a strict sleep schedule and difficulty sleeping, she needs to pay more to get a private room or get some good noise-canceling earplugs or headphones and a white noise machine. No assholes here. The OP, with 531 downvotes, responds, "She already has a private room. Our campus apartment has 2 private rooms and 2 shared rooms." To which Purple Doves 91 responds, "Yet you still managed to wake her up. You're the asshole. All of you, for multiple reasons." Also, the RA pointed out the fact that there are communal spaces within campus that they can go to spend their nights instead of risking waking their roommate up. Another comment from XX Kim 3RZXX. Nice 2007 gamer tag. "You're the asshole. It's not unreasonable to have quiet hours, especially if you have an RA, and it sounds like you're living on campus. 8 p.m. is a little early. Also, fuck your roommate who said how hard can it be working in a nursing home. It's difficult. It's a job no one wants to do, but it needs to be done. What the hell is wrong with y'all?" The LP responds with 660 downvotes. "That roommate is pretty blunt sometimes, I'll admit. I wouldn't have said that myself, but I guess we had different ideas on what the work was actually like." User Zalipu comments, that wasn't blunt, that was rude and ignorant. To which user NewLife21 responds with a write-up and dissertation as to what it's like being a CNA. CNAs are the grunt workers of a hospital, nursing home, or in-home workers. They are the ones changing adult diapers, making beds, wheeling people to and from meals, feeding people, bathing people, changing the trash, cleaning up the shit and piss that are thrown on themselves, walls, and floors. Day shift CNAs also have to help with transport, getting people dressed for the day, making sure they get to their activities, and many have now been pushed into helping ensure medications are taken. Your roommate is correct that she likely doesn't get a real break in that 12-hour shift. CNAs also get paid the least, $10 an hour where I am, and are treated the worst by staff and residents alike. I guarantee you, she has been hit, screamed at, sworn at, and had to help prepare a dead person for transport to the morgue. You're the asshole, and so are the other children you live with. You may be a legal adult, but you are clearly still an immature child with no empathy, consideration, or respect for others. I dare you to volunteer at a nursing home and see for yourself how bad it can be for staff. And just so we're clear, if I could get away with calling you worse than you're the asshole, I would do it in a heartbeat. People like you are the worst kinds of people. So I don't have too much more to add on when it comes to the aspects of being a CNA, but I do just want to talk about how good of just a punch in the gut it must have been for OP to be like, yeah, this Reddit post, this'll show them. They'll all vote me not the asshole, and I'll be vindicated for being upset with my roommate. Only to then be grabbed by the collar and dragged through the mud while a dog chases you with an aluminum bat. Actually, now that I say that out loud, that is a horrifying mental image, but it is a very apt description of what OP dealt with. Cross-posted r/drew off my chest. I have feelings for my wife's best friend. My friend and I have been happily married for almost 10 years, have 2 kids, and are so happy. Let me start by saying I love her so much. She's perfect for me, and I would never do anything to hurt her. A few years back, we moved into a new neighborhood, and my wife started befriending one of our new neighbors. They got along tremendously and became very close very quick. Her husband and I got along and like each other, but aren't nearly as close. Over the past year, I've been more and more drawn to my wife's best friend, WBF. Her and my wife could not be more opposite. My wife is short, blonde, thick, shy, self-conscious, and hilarious. Low libido, very nervous about anything sexual. WBF is tall, a brunette, slim, and athletic, super outgoing and confident, and is very comfortable and open with her sexuality, i.e. sends her husband special pictures at work, lots of lingerie, etc. I don't know if it's the stark difference, but I can't stop thinking about her, get excited when she's around my wife, etc. I had a dream last night where WBF and I kissed in secret. Not make out, no sex, just a kiss. But I can't get it out of my head. I don't need to sleep with her or anything, but I would love to see one of those pictures. I know nothing will ever come of it and I don't want it to, but I can't ignore this attraction. While a majority of this is gross, including how he describes his wife and compares her to his neighbor, the part that for some reason, on top of everything else of course, that really gets under my skin is where it's like, I would just be satisfied with getting some pictures of her. That really gives me the ick. That's pretty gross. Cross-posted from r/confession. Was excited for spring break, only to realize my kids were off too. I feel like a terrible father and a selfish asshole at the same time. My sister is flying in this week. I took leave from work to spend time with her, who I haven't seen in years. I had zero fucking idea that my kids, elementary school, were off school the same week for spring break. It literally never once occurred to me. Legitimately. And now I'm feeling absolutely gutted, both at the guilt but also the realization that they're going to be home the entire time. They're both autistic, and I cannot emphasize enough how infuriatingly exhausting they are. Fridays are the worst days of the week for me because it means I don't have work the next 2 days, and now Monday is 10 days away. This like fucking shatters my heart. And it is really goddamn telling that you're complaining how exhausting your children are, while at the same time you had zero idea when their spring break was. Really does speak a lot who's actually carrying the mental load within your relationship. It's not you, it's your wife. Because how could it be you if you had no idea what their school schedule looked like? It is just gut-wrenching that this post just boils down to, man, I was looking forward to some time off, but because I don't pay attention to my kids, I had zero fucking idea that my infuriatingly exhausting autistic children were going to be home that week. I have a level of sorrow and anger on behalf of your children that I can't fully explain because they have you as a father. I hope you do better, and I hope in their future they find a stepfather who actually cares for them. Because I get the itch that's within their future, considering this is how you react. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for not shaking a young woman's hand? I, 54 male, met with 3 young people for a project we were collaborating on. 2 men and a woman, all in their early 20s. I shook hands with both men, but not the woman. I thought nothing of it, and the meeting went well. But I recently learned that the woman was upset with me for not shaking her hand. I know it's not a huge incident, but it has been gnawing at me. Growing up, I was always taught that a man should never offer his hand to a woman. Instead, he should wait to see if she offered her hand first. That way, the woman could decide if she wanted to be touched. It was a matter of respect for her boundaries and simple good manners. When the young woman did not offer a hand first, I did what I always do and gave her a friendly nod. I've always taken this approach and never had a problem before, but perhaps my approach is outdated? I'm willing to accept being unintentionally rude, but it did pain me to learn I upset her. Maybe OP's etiquette is severely out of date, but I'm wondering what kind of etiquette he was taught, because my father, who is a bit older than OP here, he would never do this. Socially, couldn't say, but in a professional setting where you're treating someone as a work professional, never. Because by not offering to shake your hand, you're already treating them differently. You're already setting expectations differently from their colleagues, just because they're a woman. As a professional, it's the professional thing to do to treat all colleagues the same, regardless of their sex, gender, religion, race, ethnicity, cultural background, anything else I've forgotten. Height, I guess? I mean, for my dad, that's definitely a needed one, considering the lumbering giant is 6'7". Which recently has not been very fun for him, because when a little kid runs up to him asking him how tall he is, him, without missing a beat, will say 6'7". And, well, took a while for my dad to understand why he was being laughed at. Anyways, OP here is a 50-year-old man who is afraid of cooties, and in the 30 or so years, presumably, that he's been a professional, has never once adjusted his personal biases or what he was raised on to be inclusive of women within the workplace. At this point, dude, just apologize that you're a product of your grandpa's time and hope that you can just start doing better in the future. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for buying an expensive camera for a cheap price from my dad's friend? Throwaway because my main account is linked to my business. I run a business where I buy, repair, and sell vintage cameras, among other things. I do photo shoots too, but that is unrelated to the story. My dad knows about my business, and his friend had some cameras with his brother who had to move, and for whatever reason, wasn't able to take the cameras with him. The cameras in question were a Nikon F3, a Nikon F801, and a Canon A1. In good working order, the 3 cameras collectively would be worth right around $1,000. And I like to keep a decent profit margin as I make sure all the cameras are tested before I sell them on. The friend of my dad had told me they were not working, so I told him I'd sell them for parts for my repairs, as parts for those cameras are hard to come by. As a result, I got them for a fraction of the price they'd usually sell for. Now, here's where I might be the ass. I had a feeling I knew what was wrong with them, and based on my guess, since they were all cameras that needed a battery to function, but I didn't tell him, and I guess he didn't try to put batteries in them since they're not the kind you can just grab from the dollar store. They ended up working just fine after some testing, and I told my dad about them being a steal. And he told his friends about it, and now he's calling me an asshole and a scammer and demanding a cut of the money. If the prices matter, I bought all 3 for $200 and combined they sold for $980. So, Reddit, am I the asshole here? Sorry if the formatting is weird, I wrote this on my phone. This comment puts it perfectly. Legitimate Agency 282. People like this are going to go through life and then later wonder why all their relationships feel superficial. It's such a good example of why rich people are almost always assholes. They do things like this to get there, just on a bigger scale. I also really feel for the dad and his friend in this one. It would kind of break my heart if I was a father and, my son worked with one of my friends and then he goes to brag to me about how he screwed over one of my friends. It would definitely make the question of, God damn, did I really fuck up this much with raising my kid? That this is how they act and this is how they treat the people who are around me and important to me? Cross-posted from r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for buying my daughter an Apple Watch and AirPods? My daughter, 16 female, had her birthday a few days ago. She does really well at school and deserves a gift, so I wanted to buy her a gift to celebrate the occasion. Around a month ago, I asked her what she wanted. She said she didn't want anything. My daughter has very old technology. Her computer is missing several keys and she still uses earbuds with wires. So for her birthday, I figured I should get her something related to technology that she will use. I bought her an Apple Watch and AirPods so that she can be more up to date. I want to clarify that before buying anything, I asked her to try on my AirPods. She did and said they were okay, but that she preferred her earpods. However, she has issues with change, so I thought she would settle into and prefer AirPods eventually. Me and my wife gave her our gifts. My wife got her a cat-themed blanket and some cans of soup she likes. In my opinion, this is a ridiculous gift to get a teenager who is almost an adult, but daughter liked it. However, when I gave my gift to her, my daughter started crying and told me she hated my gift and that I should return to the store. She was mad at me because she thinks an Apple Watch is too expensive and she doesn't like spending money. She also says she doesn't like jewelry, even though an Apple Watch is not even jewelry, and that she does not want AirPods because she'll probably lose them. I told her she was being ridiculous and she needed to be grateful. She told me I obviously did not know anything about her if I thought she wanted AirPods. Then she left me on silent treatment and is not talking to me. My wife agrees that she's being ungrateful, but also says that I should not have gotten her a watch because she has texture issues. So, Reddit, am I the asshole? Yeah, buddy, you definitely don't know your daughter at all. Also, you pointed out that her keyboard is missing keys. Why not get her a new keyboard? Or if it's laptop keys that are missing, why not get replacement laptop keys? Instead, you went big dick energy here. Look how much money I'll spend on you! Without actually giving a damn of what she really wants. Your wife got her soup in a blanket and she was happy with that. Sounds like your daughter doesn't really need a lot to be happy and just wants to be understood. Something you're not doing. Also, your daughter sounds far more responsible than you are. I don't know if I trust myself with AirPods because I might lose them. Also, I just don't like watches and jewelry, so it's not really my thing. You listen here, Missy. You're gonna be grateful for what I got you, and you're gonna be happy with them. Looks like I gotta start making a main channel video because the voices are coming out. Also, you're not getting your daughter a gift to get her a gift for something you would like. You're getting her a gift because you want to be appreciated and you want brownie points. It's a gift with strings attached. Honestly, the worst kinds of gifts, if I'm going to be honest with you. I used to have an ex, we'll say, who used to buy people extravagant gifts without any warning or any question. As an example, one time she bought someone she just met an $800 scarf. Someone who they had never met, by the way. And they spent the entire time they were visiting complaining that they weren't wearing the scarf, that they didn't seem to like it, and they felt underappreciated and like they were taking advantage of them. Thankfully, now I'm mature enough to realize the situation actually is more along the lines of, you bought the fucking scarf without even asking, and now you're holding it over their head? Come on! The same thing goes for OP here. Rather than actually getting something that his daughter would have enjoyed or liked or been appreciative of, he just went for the big dollar item and thought that that would have been enough because money! Actually, by the daughter's reaction, I wonder if perhaps the OP's done this in the past, where He's held gifts over her head and has caused her to, well, not really be a fan of receiving large gifts like this. And if you think I'm improperly applying things and tinfoil hat theories to OP's behavior, oh no, I'm not. Sadly, the worst has gone and collected some of OP's comments. Sadly, the worst is their username. They are not actually sadly the worst. Content warning for ableism, copied verbatim from OP's comments. Pardon my candor, is your daughter autistic by any chance? She's never been tested for anything, but she has some autistic traits, and my nephew is low-functioning autistic. Ugh. You're the asshole, a huge one. Why should your daughter be grateful for gifts she told you she didn't want? She could appreciate how I spent money on her and went out of my way to do a nice thing for her that I thought she would like. This reminds me of when I was 10 or so years old. I had and loved a Nintendo 64. Mentioned to my dad that I would like a GameCube so that I could play the upcoming Mario and Sonic games. My dad insisted that the Xbox had better games and better specs, argued with me at length that the Xbox had more features and was a better overall system. A year later, my dad got me an Xbox with several games. I rarely played it. He got pissed and told me he wouldn't buy me a GameCube because I had a perfectly good Xbox I never played. You're the asshole. The things you find important are not the same things your daughter finds important. It seems like she's tried to tell you this and you just ignored her. OP responds, "That is a sad story. I hope you have a GameCube now that you're an adult. I will talk to her more about what she likes in the future." If her technology is so old, why not replace that instead of buying new gadgets that she didn't want or need? I'm sure she would have appreciated a new laptop or phone. It's possible those things you gave her may not have even been compatible with her phone if it was too old. You bought what you wanted and showed no regard for her choices or interests. You're the asshole. Well, I have offered to buy her a new computer or phone, but she says they're too expensive, and she does not like to spend money, or she'll just use them until they're physically unusable. The more of OP's comments I read, the more it definitely feels like he's held the cost of the items he's gifted her over her head, giving her the impression that anything that's worth any value will be used as a tool for control rather than an actual gift. She has weird likes, but just give her money and let her buy whatever she wants. Maybe she'll buy more cans of soups. If I give her money, she'll probably refuse to spend it and just save it. Or she would buy soup, maybe. She would not buy new technology, and as such has no friends because she's not with the times. We don't talk about money in front of her, but she researches and asks us about our taxes. She also thinks I spend irresponsibly. Edit to add, have you ever told her that she doesn't have friends because she's not with the times? Yes, but she says she does not care about having friends because her priority is getting into a good college and studying. Yeah, both are in the wrong. For her to be mad at you is really ungrateful, but she's also valid about the watch, especially if she has texture issues. I would say a new computer with working keys seems like a better alternative, and return the watch. She refuses to let me buy anything for her. She does not like spending money. I would wonder why she has such money anxiety. Do you and your wife argue about money in front of her or where she can hear her? Is she possibly aware of the current economic affairs around the world and having anxiety about that? Do you even know? And please don't ever tell a child, especially a girl, that she just needs to be grateful for something and that her feelings are invalid. Imagine a husband telling her this. What are you teaching her about using her voice and expressing feelings? You wanted her to have the watch and earpods. She didn't want them. If her tech is so outdated, why not get her a new computer or get the one she has fixed, if that's within your current means? And talk to your daughter, find out what the money anxiety is about. Don't accuse, don't invalidate her. Ask, reassure if needed. You're the asshole. We don't talk about money in front of her, but she researches and asks us about our taxes. She also thinks I spend irresponsibly. It sounds like your daughter is more of an adult than you are. Either she's hyper-aware of the news at her age, which wouldn't be surprising considering she is 16. She's either seeing what you're spending and think it's irresponsible and wonders if you're putting the family into a hole, or she's just grown up in a life where you've held every gift over her head and she just doesn't like the value of things being paraded around her for why she should be grateful. So instead, she just keeps things simple. Hopefully OP learns that the way to his daughter's heart is not through how many zeros are behind the gift he just purchased for her. Cross-post from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for inviting my dad's girlfriend to my wedding even though my mom says she won't come? My mom won't come to my wedding because I invited my dad's girlfriend. My fiance and I, male 26, female 25, are getting married in August. My parents separated when I was 10 because my dad cheated on my mom with a woman named Maud, who he is still with 16 years later. They separated and my dad moved out, but would still co-parent and spend most weekends and nights at my house with my mom. They got along pretty alright. However, the only rule my mom had was that for my brother and I's whole childhood, we were never to meet Maud. It wasn't until I was 20 that I actually met her for the first time when she moved in with my dad over the pandemic. My mom moved out after I graduated high school. Over that time, we got to know her more. It was enjoyable spending time with her. She never overstepped, but she was also never a mother figure to me. Now comes the wedding. My fiance and I discussed it, and we felt like it was right to invite Maud. We got to know her better over the last 6 years, and she's going to be in my life forever. She's been nothing but nice to me and obviously means a lot to my dad. It was important to me that she was to start being included in life events like this. My only concern was telling my mom about this. We never talked about it, and when we did in the past, I had resorted to telling her that I don't like Maud. And I did once say that I wouldn't invite her to my wedding. I said these things because I felt like they were what she wanted to hear, and now I regret it because it's not how I truly felt. So, I told my mom that I had invited Maud to the wedding, and she simply said, "Okay, then I'm not going to come." I was obviously stunned. I knew she wasn't going to take it well, but I thought she'd be mad and get over it since it's my wedding. However, over the 3-hour-long argument we had following, she didn't budge once. She said she just can't physically bring herself to be in the same room as her. I asked if she'd consider working on that, maybe going to therapy, sitting with the idea for a while. She said no, that none of that would change how she feels. I told her she was selfish and she's selfish? Damn. I told her she was selfish and hated Maud more than she loved me. She said I was selfish because I invited Maud knowing that it meant she couldn't come. She felt betrayed. Here I thought all these years she'd been working through these feelings, but I think she was just shoving them deep down, never wanting to address them. So she was blindsided, and I don't think is really ready or interested at all in changing how she's coping with this. So I feel like I'm left with having to uninvite Maud if I want my mom at my wedding, which I guess I will have to do. But I need to know, am I the asshole for inviting Maud in the first place? So I want to do a quick little fun comparison between this and a previous, I believe what was an Am I the Devil post, where the mom had decided not to go to the wedding of her daughter because she had a church event. In that case, the mother was the devil because she was unwilling to even look at potentially rescheduling the church event or just simply not going to it, instead prioritizing that event over her daughter's wedding. That's why there was an upset with that one, because it felt more like she was just making excuses to not go to her daughter's wedding. In this case, however, we have a mother who is pretty much faced with the reality of, oh, my child has been lying to me that they don't like Maud, now they're inviting her to their wedding. And I just spent the past pretty much 8 years of my life cohabitating with the man who cheated on me and making sure my kids grew up in a stable environment and would hopefully have a life better than mine. And now I'm being hit with this. Yeah, I just don't think I'm ready to be in the same room as Maud, so I'm gonna have to tap out on the wedding. That's a bit of a different circumstance and situation. The nuance of it, if you would. I mean, hell, it's kind of in a weird way putting yourself in the shoes of your mother. Just a repeat. Maud comes first, I guess, even to my kids. I think the part that makes OP the devil here is not wanting to invite Maud, but the sly little insertion comment of, I just thought she'd get over it. It's my wedding after all. When comparing the two wedding situations we had of a mother who's not willing to cancel church events, yeah, it's a reasonable expectation to maybe not go to a church event that week to go to your daughter's wedding. On the other hand, expecting your mom just to swallow essentially years worth of betrayal and years worth of sacrifice and to just shut up and be happy, that just kind of furthers what she's been dealing with for a while. In a perfect world, you should have asked your mother before inviting Maud what her opinion was and how she felt. But you didn't, and now we're left with the aftermath of your expectations of how your mother should be behaving. Personally, though, just in general, it does seem kind of fucked, like inviting your mother, inviting probably more than likely your grandparents, all the family on your mom's side, as well, because they are probably going to be going to the wedding, and then following up with inviting your father's mistress. That's probably not going to be fun for your mom. One thing that I will just kind of note, though, is AmITheDevil does tend to give tunnel vision, so maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe there's something that I'm just totally overlooking because, in big words in front of me, am I the devil? And my brain is looking for reasons why OP is the devil. I do try to be good about that, but sometimes I definitely can miss the mark. So let me know if I did miss something. Shh, do you hear that? That's the sound of the outro and an incoming Gamer Subs ad spot and some ramblings at the end of the outro. Don't forget to use code OZ at checkout. It'd be super cool if you did. Also, for a not-so-fun thought process, I've been thinking a lot about, how time in, media scales. When I was 6 years old, 20 years ago was 1986, and the Transformers was having their 20th anniversary during that time. 20 years later, Transformers is now having their 40th anniversary this year, and I'm hit with the sudden realization that for me, the 1986 movie is on the same timescale for some kids as the 2007 Michael Bay movie. And for me, when I was 6 years old, when that first got announced and unveiled, that was the coolest fucking thing ever. As a 7-year-old, I couldn't comprehend how do they know about Transformers? Oh my gosh, I love Transformers. That was the hypest shit ever. I don't know, I'm really curious if for those of you who are parents, what kind of old, and when I say old, I mean early 2000s, media has your kid latched onto that would be equivalent to the 1986 Transformers to me in 2006 to them being 2026. Also, I just know for a fact that someone probably just held their chest while hearing 1986 Transformers being referred to as an older media. Sorry about that.